I was cut from my friend group after I exposed my toxic friend for having an affair with a married man. I confronted her and it ruined my life. I have been friends with Julia and Alex since college, but our tiny group expanded ever since we started partying. Julia was more of a nerd, she would skip some parties because she had to study, but Alex was completely different. She never cared about college and only looked for fun. She would date a new guy every 2 months and her reputation was slowly crumbling. She crossed the line a few years ago when we found out she was having an affair with a married man. We confronted her, but her excuse was that she was unhappy with her relationships and sought outside validation. We tried telling her that she was ruining a marriage and that the man would never divorce just to marry her. Despite our efforts, she never listened. She accused all of us of being terrible friends, and all of my friends said, "Not my monkey, not my circus." I wanted to save my friend from long-term pain, so I contacted the wife and told her everything. I knew who the wife was because the married man once introduced us to her in college. I told my friends about the confrontation and all of them turned against me, especially Julia. She said that it was none of my business and that I betrayed my friend. Julia stopped being friends with me and told me, "If you can betray your close friend, then you can betray me as well." I tried telling her how what I did was for Alex's best, but she wouldn't listen. Instead, she told Alex about what I had done. I warned her that Alex was toxic and that she should be careful, but she shut me off and left. Alex was heartbroken because of me and because the married man dropped her to work on his marriage. I was kicked out of the group while Alex and Julia continued in the same way. A few years had passed and I had not heard from either of them, until a few weeks ago, when I got a call from Julia. Turns out Julia had married and never let me know. I congratulated her, but deep inside felt terrible for not being invited. Before I could ask why I wasn't invited, Julia said that Alex betrayed her. I asked her what was wrong and she said that Alex had been having an affair with her husband. She kept crying on the phone and telling me how she had been betrayed by her closest friend even though she supported her in college. I asked her to meet up and discuss things in person instead of by phone. So I invited her to my place and she was soon to arrive. I told her how she ignored and badmouthed me for a year, but before I could ask my question, she broke down and started apologizing. I reminded her of how I warned her that Alex was toxic and that she should have expected something like this from her. She started apologizing, but I refused to help. She kept begging for help, but I told her to leave and I might consider her request. That night I decided to help her with Alex, but to this day I regret helping her because it ended up ruining my life. I was cut from my friend group after I exposed my toxic friend for having an affair with a married man. I confronted her and it ruined my life. After my friend Julia caught her husband having an affair with her friend Alex, she came to me for help. I told her how I had no intention of helping her, but after a week of thinking and her spamming my phone, I decided that she deserved help. She was already going through many things and I did nothing but add to it. We had a brief discussion about our past and she told me how she was sorry for excluding me. Without me asking, she shared some stories of how Alex violated our entire friend group with one act. She said that they were invited to a party where Alex had brought substances with her. I never knew Alex was addicted, but looking back, I can recall her behavior being weird. I asked her what had happened during the party, and she told me how cops were called because 2 guys got into a fight due to the substances. She added that Alex had long left the party but forgot her substances. No one knows if she left it there intentionally or not, but the house owners ended up taking responsibility. I told her how she should have dropped Alex after finding out about her addiction, but she said how she refused because of the bond they had. I apologized and said, "I'm sorry you had to go through all of this." I didn't want to get close to Alex after finding out that she was addicted, but I couldn't refuse to help Julia after I told her I would. I advised her to take therapy while I dealt with Alex. She said how it would be dangerous for me to do so, but I didn't think much of it. Me and Julia parted ways and I never knew that would have been the last time I saw her. I got in contact with Alex and asked her to meet up, and she surprisingly sent me a location. I was confident she knew what we were going to talk about and I made sure to prepare. When I saw her I couldn't recognize her. Her eyes had grown wide and she had the biggest eye bags. I asked her if she was okay and she said, "Do I look okay?" I was shocked. The Alex I had known had long disappeared. She kept flickering and I was honestly scared to talk to her. I went in thinking I would confront and restore our friendship, but after seeing him in such a condition, I just wanted to leave. She offered me something to sniffle but I kindly rejected it. I then started telling her how she was wrong for violating Julie, but she said, "I don't give a F, her husband should have been smarter." I had no clue what I would tell her, so I told her, "I don't see a reason to keep talking, goodbye." I turned out to leave and she grabbed my hand. She said, "You cannot leave without this." She put something in my hand and said, "Smoke it." I told her I was okay, but she kept telling me to smoke. I don't know what crossed my mind, but I took a hit and the world around me began spinning. All I remember from that night was seeing her run away and me falling unconscious. The next day I woke up in a hospital with my parents around me. I was told that my body couldn't handle the substance, so I fell unconscious. I couldn't look at my parents' faces because they were clearly disappointed. A few minutes later police entered and the rest is history. I am now being interrogated.